be very open about your safety programs. Tell the people what you have. Explain to them why.
Yeah.
There's no benefit as far as you're going to get more tolls because you have
Right.
cameras up. You're never
Yeah.
going to see that. What you're going to see is you're going to see the public being more secure with the choice of using your roadway because of that.
This episode is brought to you by CSG. CSG's SaaS solutions optimize every step of the tolling journey, from billing and payments to customer engagement, helping agencies maximize revenue through smarter, more integrated experiences. Make more, save more, and do more. Visit csgi.com.
Welcome to another episode of Toll Talk Podcast, where we explore the people, technology, and innovation shaping the future of transportation and mobility. We're your hosts, Kalie Jakovics
And Alex Fakeri.
and today we're diving into a topic that affects every driver on the road: safety.
When people think about tolling technology, we often think about toll collection or enforcement. But there's another side of the industry that's becoming increasingly important, and it's using technology to improve roadway safety, reducing speeding, and influencing driver behavior in meaningful ways.
Across the country, transportation agencies are facing growing concerns around speeding, traffic safety, and dangerous driving behaviors. At the same time, new technologies are helping agencies better understand roadway patterns, respond in real time, and ultimately create safer experiences for the traveling public.
Today, we're going to be pulling back the curtain on the safety side of tolling technology and exploring how innovation is helping transform driver behavior and improving mobility outcomes. From advanced mobile enforcement systems and real-time data to the evolving role of technology in transportation operations. This conversation will provide insight into how the industry is approaching safety in a smarter and more proactive way.
Joining us today is Iain Deckard, Senior Enforcement Operations Manager at Neology, a company helping lead innovation in mobility, tolling, and transportation technology solutions across the industry. With extensive experience in enforcement operations and roadway technology, Iain brings a unique perspective on how agencies are leveraging technology, not just for operations and enforcement, but to create measurable safety improvements on our roadways. Iain, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, to kick things off, we like our viewers to get to know our guest a little bit. So if you want to share, your little bit about your background, career journey, how you got into tolling.
Sure. And it's really kind of an interesting journey in the long run because I started in law enforcement. So I was a police officer for a long time. Don't let the
Oh.
hair fool you. I tell everybody that. Don't. This is my midlife crisis. That's cheaper and safer than a motorcycle.
There you go.
I like
Okay.
the hair. I like the hair.
Yeah, so I started in law enforcement. When I left, I was a patrol supervisor, and I went to work for Cox Communications, and
yeah.
I worked in loss prevention there, and they hired me because of my law enforcement background. And then they wanted to start a loss prevention department here in Kansas, and so I took that position, which is why I'm in Wichita now. And then they had a real big technology change, and that really kind of got rid of the loss prevention section. And so I was looking for a job, and the Kansas Turnpike Authority hired me as the video enforcement manager. And so that's how I kind of transferred my skill set into transportation itself because I had had a lot of that experience on the roadway from that perspective,
Right.
but it was different from the agency perspective about the back office and why things happen a certain
Right.
way. And so after I left the Kansas Turnpike Authority, I came to work for Neology, and I've been having a blast. Really, I am the Senior Enforcement Operations Manager, and my job really is more or less around safety.
Okay. Yeah, and I have to say that this is, everybody comes from these weird paths, and this is the first time we've actually had law enforcement transition to tolling. We've
Yeah,
heard
very cool.
other sorts of scenarios before, but this is a first. So this is
Yeah.
actually really cool, Ian. Now, you and I just saw each other. Well, we all saw each other at IBTTA in Orlando at the Tech Summit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great running into you guys. It was funny how the last day is when I spent the most time with you as I'm pretty much leaving.
I know. That was kind of like, okay, well, that works. Any opportunity. So I guess, kind of, well, first off, did you go to the karaoke party? Did you get out at all?
No, my gift to the world is not to karaoke.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Well, we definitely hope, you got a lot out of the conference in general, whether karaoke
I
or
did.
not.
I love going to IBTTA. I love going to, especially the tech. I have never been to either an annual or a tech and said that was a complete waste of time.
Yeah, it's
I
very.
always learn
yeah.
something new.
Yeah.
The networking is fantastic, and
Yeah.
if you don't network in this field in transportation, you're really going to be in a silo, and it's going to be difficult to kind of operate.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and we tell our viewers that all the time. Like that's one of the big benefits. And Pat Jones used to say it as well. Like he said, some of the best conversations take place sometimes outside these sessions, right? It could be in the hallway or whatnot. But
Yeah.
it's a lot where we saw you, so that was good.
And also at the Tech Summit, you guys had a robot at your booth? Is that right?
We did.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've had Neo, and he
That was
was
so
really
cool.
a blast. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's
I got
really
to
cool.
interact, and he took my photo, and I got some information. It was really cool. So kudos
And
to
we'll
your team.
submit that to AI, and then we'll know everything about you. And
Perfect. I thought so.
So-
You guys now know where I live, what I do
Yeah.
after
oh
work.
yeah, we know more than the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Well, so I guess the big question is, coming in IBT Tech, tell us, did you get what you're looking for when you're talking about safety? Was it a helpful session for you?
It was. I wanted to know a little bit more about what other people were doing around safety specifically.
Yeah.
And that was done more or less in the hallway, like you said, and after 5 p.m. and having those conversations and really trying to figure out. My job now is to ask the question of what is your biggest pain point and how can I help you?
There you go.
And that's the way Neology looks at it also is, we may not be perfect in every situation, and we understand that. We're human too, but what we do well, we want to offer. And I think that safety is one of those things where you have to have those conversations. You have to talk about what's difficult. I'll tell you, as a
Absolutely.
former police officer, I've worked fatalities. I still see some of those faces, and it's really, really difficult when you think about, especially the children.
Yeah.
And what can I do now at 52 years old in a completely different environment? What can I do to prevent that or help that in some way? And that's why I've really latched on to the safety operations portion.
That's
Yeah, I
great.
love that. And for those of our viewers that may not be familiar about Neology, before we get kind of too far into the safety aspect and other things we want to talk about today, can you share a little bit about what Neology does?
Yeah, Neology is pretty much an ecosystem solutions provider, and that's just really a nice way of saying we have our NeoBoss, which is the back office. We have our NeoForce cameras, which is ALPR and the things that AI built into the cameras themselves, the things that you would expect. And it's really interesting because those NeoForce cameras are used by the majority of law enforcement in the UK. And they do a lot of average speed enforcement there, and those cameras are fantastic. We do congestion pricing in Denmark, and we're in LATAM. We just really try and provide a lot of good products for the industry itself. And of course, and I've left it to last because everybody says, "Oh, you guys are the tag guys, right?" Yes, we have those 6C transponders that are cheap and super effective. So yes, that's my pitch.
Awesome.
No, that's great. I'm glad you covered that. So I guess I want to kind of think about if you'll indulge me, and I think really more for our audience as well, we've had a lot of the global safety things, programs from IBTTA. We've talked about safety in general in many ways, but I kind of want to super focus on tolling technology and how safety usually isn't the first thing that comes to mind, right? Can you maybe talk about why road safety becomes such an important conversation besides the obvious? I mean, why right now has there been such a push globally, regionally with these organizations? I mean, besides, and again, the obvious, what's the big hype? Like, tell us why it's so important
That's a
right now.
fantastic question, and there's a lot of facts that go on behind it. But I will tell you what Ian feels. I feel like we've since COVID. COVID happened and everybody got off the roads. It was the quietest the world had been. And there was a lot of good things that came out of that. One of the bad things is that I really think that people started having some bad habits, and one of those is speeding. And we've all done it, right? I mean, I've sped. Everybody speeds. If you drive, you speed, right? However, can you make that decision to be a better driver, a more conscientious driver, more than you're doing the bad stuff? So we get into those situations where we're just and we do stupid things. However, stupid things are what gets people in trouble, right? It causes crashes, and so speeding is one of those things that you can avoid
Yeah.
all the time. It's like distracted driving. You can
Yeah.
choose not to use your phone, but it's a choice. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we're trying to do is change behavior. If we can change somebody's behavior, it's not about issuing citations or trying to generate revenue. That is the last thing I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The thing I want to talk about is how do I make it safer for you every time you get on the road? And if I can change your behavior in a positive way, then that's what I want to do.
So, what are some of the trends, if you will, are the innovations in technology and data that is making a difference with these bad habits? Because I will just reaffirm that from a behavior standpoint, we knew socially children and adults and everybody had this big disconnect. I mean, because that's what will happen when you button people up for a couple of years, right? There are definitely, it makes sense what you're saying. I never really applied it to tolling, so I think that's interesting. So, can you maybe put some structure around, what are some of the innovations that are coming out right now that can change those behaviors?
Sure. I'll talk about something that a lot of toll agencies, and I'll even say the Kansas Turnpike Authority, because I was with them recently when we did a cashless conversion, which was
That's
huge,
right.
and it was a fantastic project. Just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. We had a small, like, we loved it. That was a great being part of that. That's a fantastic program.
Yeah, yeah. I remember working with you guys on some stuff, but it's that team effort, right?
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
has their
Yeah.
piece. You guys had your piece. There was no way I could do the Mojo piece because I'm not the expert in that. You guys are, so thank you for that. But yeah, some of the good technology talking about KTA was the use of wrong way signs and indicators. And so now when you get on a roadway, for example, if you're going the wrong way, there may be a sign and it's flashing and it's telling you wrong way, because it has all the technology built in. Either it's built into the roadway or it's built into the system itself, where it's like, it knows, a camera knows that you're going
Right.
the wrong way. Well, that feeds into a bigger ITS, right? And the ITS is that integrated technology solution that all these transportation providers are trying to get to now. And there's a lot of ITS products that are out there,
Yeah.
and some of them are really really necessary. For example, the wrong way driver that's a fantastic option to have.
Yeah.
I strongly suggest that operators look into those if you don't have them. But the thing I like is the dealing with speed is the use of our mobile solution with speed enforcement. We did a pilot project in Washington last year where we used DOT approved trailers
Okay.
and we put our NeoForce cameras on them and extended it over the roadway. And what that did was that allowed us to do average speed enforcement over a corridor. And what average speed enforcement is, which is different than spot speed, where you get a police officer to sit out there and running radar. Guilty, I've done it. I've written thousands of
Right.
tickets. That's effective for that short time.
Yeah.
However, average speed enforcement, if I put a trailer over a 2 mile distance, that forces that person to drive better over a longer distance.
Very good.
That's what we want.
Very interesting. And why, I mean, for transportation agencies, I mean, speeding is huge. What, are you seeing any trending or changed behavior over the past couple years as you're putting in some of these systems?
So, specifically with WashDOT, what we found was about a 35% decrease in speeding over the corridor, and which was fantastic. And that came out in their final report that they submitted to the legislature. So this is not confidential in any way. And so that was really proof to us that average speed enforcement works well.
Right.
But there's pieces to that. And one of those pieces is from the agency side, you have to be very transparent with people. You have to be very open. They did open houses for WashDOT, which was a fantastic thing.
Wow.
And you're going to
Okay.
solicit comments that you don't like,
Yeah,
but
I can
that's part of
imagine.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there were some really interesting things that we will not say on this podcast, but yeah, but it gives people a chance to get their voices heard, which is
Yeah.
all people want, right?
Well,
Uh,
could you say maybe like what were some of the things that surprised you that they responded to with, and they said, yeah, this is important. Like, was there any some big moments, aha moments from those open houses or whatnot?
from the open houses, not so much, other than the going back to the fact that you have to communicate. You don't communicate too much. You never over communicate, right? But you can under communicate. And as soon as
Hmm.
you do that, you've undermined your own project or your own program. And so being transparent and communicating often first was great. One of the biggest takeaways that I got, back to your question, was that they found that average speed enforcement, even though we were doing a specific corridor, it actually had a satellite effect. They saw a reduction in speeds in the general vicinity because people didn't always know where average speed enforcement was going to be, even though it was on the open house website,
Wow.
even though
Okay.
we talked about it. We weren't hiding cameras anywhere. We wanted people to see them. But people got off that road, off of I-5, and said, I still need to be a better driver. We changed their behavior.
Wow.
That's the win right there.
Yeah. And I think over communicating and making sure that that's not negative behavior or try to mitigate that is key.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now a message from our sponsor.
The business of tolling is complex. Trusted by the world's most respected brands, CSG transforms every customer interaction, communications, billing, payments, and more into a smarter, more profitable outcome. Make more, save more, do more. CSG, solving tolling's toughest challenges simply.
Yeah. I would imagine of the technology. There's real-time decisions. There's, obviously when you're talking about wrong way traffic, that's instant. You think real-time data, real-time responses. Whether it was for public awareness or for decision making, what role did the data play? Was real-time data valuable in this type of thing, or is it really something that's analyzed later?
It was, well, we did have real-time data. However, WashDOT specifically wanted to look at it as a whole. And so
Okay.
the data that was collected, they went back and they really looked at all the smaller bits and pieces that a lot of people might forget. For example, how did it affect the general vicinity? I
Yeah.
talked about people slowing down in that area. That was a huge takeaway, and it was really shocking. So the data was an aggregation that we could go back later on and say, this project was fantastic, and here's why in the big picture.
Yeah.
So we can find real-time data and you can make little tweaks to it, but in an average speed enforcement program, you're not going to do that. You're really not going to change a whole lot unless you want to move the trailers to different locations. But the aggregation of the data is really what was most important to WashDOT and to any client. They're going to need to know how does it affect all of their systems, right? So if you
Okay.
put it on a toll road and you say for this 5 minutes it made people go slower, you've missed the big picture.
Yeah.
The big picture is the aggregation of the data as to how does it affect everybody,
The
even off
holistic
of your
view.
roadway.
Yeah, the holistic
Right.
view. Okay, that goes in there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Having that balance for sure. I'm curious, Ian, how do you see safety technology evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? Even sooner than that, over the
Yeah,
next
I
two
mean,
years.
And I'm sure AI is playing a role in
Yeah,
that somewhere too.
absolutely.
I think that from an ITS perspective, you're going to see more and more technology being used on the roadway itself. I think operators and owners of the roadway, whether it's DOTs or private, I think they really understand now that safety has to be first, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to talk about it. You have to be uncomfortable in those meetings. You have to communicate with the public, and you have to be able to elicit those responses that you don't want to hear. But safety is primary. It's not about revenue generation. It's
Yeah.
not about moving people from A to B. It's about moving people safely.
Hmm.
And if you can move them safely, then you've really won everything else. Because people will choose to take your roadway because it's
Yeah.
the safest option.
Yeah.
KTA sees that a lot. People say it on their surveys all the time. It's not the fact that it's fast, it's the fact that it's safe.
Yeah.
They spend a ton of time on that road making sure that it is smooth, the snow is cleared, there's no debris on the road. The payoff is people want to use the road, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm not a salesperson for KTA, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying
no,
that.
no.
No, I
I'm
love
just saying
that.
they have a
No,
great product.
yeah, yeah.
But I see this as if I'm hearing what you're sharing, and I think this is important for our viewers to take note. If you could affirm or deny this, is that what you're talking about is not just innovation in technology, but innovative ways of using technology and better, interacting with customers to bring that safety. Is that accurate?
That is very accurate.
Okay.
That is
Yeah.
extremely accurate. Be very open about your safety programs. Tell the people what you have. Explain to them why.
Yeah.
It's there's no benefit as far as you're going to get more tolls because you have
Right.
cameras up. You're never
Yeah.
going to see that. What you're going to see is you're going to see the public being more secure with the choice of using your roadway because of that.
Well, and when you mention that, and we're talking about innovation, I mean, what are the innovations in thought process or technology that agencies are looking at or most interested in right now? I mean, whether it be a Neology service or anything, just kind of curious from that standpoint.
There's so many new technologies that I would be remiss if I called out one specific, but I
Sure.
think that the use of AI is really kind of in everybody's mind. And how does AI affect safety? And AI,
Right.
you were talking about real-time data. That's the good thing about AI is that you can have sometimes we are really data rich, but
Right.
we're information poor, right? We
Yeah.
don't know what we have. And so AI can really help you if you structure that correctly into finding that those trends and those analysis more real time, as you were talking about, than having to wait a month for your books to close, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a question regarding, the public. I guess, how can they better understand the connection between technology and roadway safety? Is there anything that you can share on that?
Yeah, that's really a tough question.
Yeah.
I would say from an agency perspective, um, you need to understand your limits, what you don't have.
Right.
You don't have to have everything, right? There's no product catalog that you have to go check every single box if you own a toll road. What you need to do is you need to understand your customers and what they need. And as soon as you understand that, by eliciting that feedback from the public and from, speaking with the people in the industry and what are the lessons learned and all that. And you take that back to your specific agency
Right.
and you say, here are the offerings that these companies have that will make our roadway better for our customers.
Yeah.
That's the end of the story right there.
I love that. All about that customer experience.
Yeah, and we talk about that a lot. Obviously,
lot,
the
yeah.
customer journey is such an important aspect. But what I love about the concept of road safety here is that you literally are part of that customer journey, the vital part of it, obviously at that. And so I think it's great to kind of hear this perspective that you guys are even thinking about that and going through that
Yeah.
that evaluation.
And
right?
this sounds kind of nerdy, but you were mentioning like the roads for KTA and how great they are and people love driving them. Like, I hear great things about KTA. I haven't had the pleasure to drive on their roadways, but I get excited when I'm driving on Ohio Turnpike because of the experience, So I can definitely resonate with that with KTA and others that put their customer first.
Right. And I've spoken about KTA a lot because that's where my experience is.
Right.
But like you said, you've got Ohio, you've got Pennsylvania, you've got Florida, Florida is doing fantastic things with
Oh,
technology down at
absolutely.
Sun Tracks. If you're not
Yeah.
paying attention to what Nicola's doing
Oh,
down
yeah.
there, you're missing out. And Michelle too.
Yeah.
Um,
And we
but
went down there we've been down there a couple times, but I remember when we first went down to that test track, like it was like, it's one of the most amazing
Mind-blowing.
things. Yeah. Like, because you go around and we live our lives. We think there's old technology, but there's such great initiatives. I mean, especially at SunTracks, it's a phenomenal thing. But I think that's the thing that excites me about people not realizing what's happening in the transportation world and the level of effort that's going into it and all the different verticals and relationships that are kind of layered in to take us that next route. I'm curious, Ian, from your perspective, because how long have you been in tolling total, like years wise?
about 10 or so.
Yeah, 10. And we're real young. I mean, we're only 6 or 7, but I guess, there's so many people that are coming on, whether they're watching this for the first time or they're looking to make a lateral change from one department to another. I mean, when you talk about safety and you talk about, your initiatives, what is something that they should know, and not just the importance of this, but, I guess from your particular vantage point, what's something most people don't realize about, enforcement and, safety, things along those lines?
I would say the first thing that I want people to know is that it is not about getting you, right? It's not about writing the ticket. It's not about the citation. It's about changing the behavior of the driver so that we're all safer. What I would tell people from other industries who are looking at transportation, and you were talking about verticals, is how interconnected we are. We are a small family. We think we're really big. Transportation as a definition is really big, right?
Yeah,
There's so many
yeah.
different pieces. But what we do is pretty small.
Yeah.
When you bring in those other partners, though, because we will eventually be all interconnected into one customer journey, and that's something that we talk about a lot at Neology is the complete ecosystem. And we're even, we need to look at even like VTOLs. You use the word vertical. Well, let's talk about VTOLs a second. VTOLs are the vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. And if you don't think that they're going to be a major factor in the next 20 years or so, you've
Yeah.
really missed the bus on this. So, I'd venture to say that and it's not just in the air. It's, let's look at all the little pieces. Let's look at the fact that we're still going to have trains, we're still going to have cars, we're still going to have airplanes. All of those in the total customer journey need to be addressed. If we
Right.
can
Yeah.
do that, that's the win right there.
Absolutely. And if you were to change one thing about driver behavior tomorrow, what would that be?
I would probably say distracted driving.
Mm.
And I say
Texting.
that over speeding because speeding kills, yes, but distracted driving while you're speeding is even worse.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so if I could get people to put down the electronics or to disengage from the things that they're doing outside of what they're supposed to be doing with
Yeah.
driving, then I would love to do that. I think we all like to get we all plug in our phone, we have CarPlay or Google or whatever it is, and we start pushing buttons, and then there's things on the dash,
Yeah.
and there's buzzers going off, and we're adjusting the music, and maybe the kids are going off,
It's
and
like you're
turning
doing
around
everything but
saying,
driving.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, don't make me turn this car around. But when you're doing that at 75 miles an hour, things happen very, very quickly. And so changing the behavior of the driver is the best goal right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I want to ask a question. Just one of the questions that popped in my head is when you're talking about what you would change, right? The magic wand concept. Just kind of curious, off to the side conversation here. What do you think about some of the different technologies in whether it be in Europe, where it's kind of like the black box concept? I mean, it seems like an innovative thing, but it's almost too late, right? Yeah, like when you start thinking about black box tracking and recording behavior, it seems like it's too late, So I think, is there an alternate solution in your mind, or if you can comment on that?
Yeah, and that's a great question because black box data, whether it's cars, first of all, your car's tracking everything that you're doing, right? Cars nowadays, they know the location, they know how fast you're going, they know your acceleration, your deceleration, they know everything,
Right.
which is not a bad thing. However, when you get that data after a crash, it's too late.
Yeah.
And so what you need on the front end is you need those tools and those techniques like there's technology that tells you when you're not paying attention.
Yes.
It's looking at your eyes.
I love
right?
that.
I get that all the time. Oops.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so
that
nice.
is one of those things that's proactive
Yeah.
that we need more of in the industry is what can we
Okay.
do ahead of time, not what can we respond to. It's too late then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great. And so, in kind of closing and wrapping, I mean, just tell me what's the most optimistic thing in your mind that you look forward to in transportation right now, in the future of roadway safety? What gives you that hope?
What I hope is, I hope that I can take this message to a larger audience. My favorite, if I could make my job better,
Sure.
it would be that I would be able to speak to more people more often. And you just can't speak to the masses all the time. And I think that one of those things that we need to talk about with safety is the fact that it's everybody's responsibility.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Safety, I've said the word safety, and that's really kind of a broad umbrella. But specifically, it's what can we do to make the world better for each other? And one of those things is not doing stupid things like driving 120 miles an hour. That's
Yeah.
an easy thing.
Yeah.
Not
You would
paying
think.
attention to the phone.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you need your own safety campaign, or you need to be involved with
Yeah.
IBTTA's global safety if you're not already.
Yeah. And if you're not,
Yeah.
sign the pledge. Please
Yeah,
sign the
there you
pledge.
go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Well, we have just a couple minutes left, so we have a few more questions for you. I mean, what do you think the future of tolling and mobility will look like in the next 5 to 10 years?
I'm very excited about the next 5 to 10 years because I really think that we're going to see some industry changes when it comes to that unified customer experience, like I was talking about, and it's everything from the time that somebody decides to take a form of transportation to the time that they end. And it's the payment gateways. It's the how do we process from one mode of transportation to the next seamlessly.
Yeah.
And we talk about NIOP. NIOP is really big. And so when we think about the ecosystem, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, you're really going to see some huge things that are going to happen in that customer journey.
Yeah.
That would be exciting.
Yeah, and I think even you see whether this past IBTTA event, which there was a lot of that technology there and demonstrated, and I think kind of curious, start to see what happens at annual and at the other venues that are out there that it's taking place. But that's great to hear. I'm glad to I relish the fact that you said that because that means we're not alone in our thought process, and our viewers is probably very important to them as well. So. Yeah. So I guess just to wrap things up, I mean, just tell us, how if somebody wants to learn more or get in touch with you, network with you, very important as we talked about. How can they get in touch with you over at Neology and get connected?
You're welcome to email me. It's ideckard@neology.com, or you can go to the Neology website, or you can go to LinkedIn. I do have a LinkedIn profile, and I've been pretty vocal using LinkedIn about some of these safety campaigns and the facts that are out there. And so you're welcome to reach me that way. If you want to know any more statistics about how much a fatality costs, which is, according to the government, 14 to 16 million dollars per fatality.
Wow.
I can give you all that information or point you in the right direction. But to any agency or operator out there, if you're not talking about safety, call me because we will.
Well,
All right.
that's great.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for everything you shared today. We learned a lot, and thank you for joining the show.
I appreciate you guys having me on, especially when it's a topic such as this that really needs more people talking about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely. I think our viewers are going to be very happy with this topic as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did a
Great episode.
great having you
Yes.
on, my friend. Yeah,
And if you are outside of the U.S. and you want me to come speak, yes.
there you go. Yes, he didn't care where. He
I
just
have a
said,
passport. I need to use it.
there you go. Well, Iain, it was great having you on. Thank you very much for joining us. And we hope you, as our guests who have been listening in and getting to meet Iain and learning more about neology and road safety at different levels and different aspects, we hope you've enjoyed. And we hope to turn in next time to hear another great topic from Toll Talk. I'm Alex Fakeri.
And I'm Kalie Jakovics.
Thanks for watching.
See you next time.